Is that better? Okay, awesome.
It's better. It's better.
Okay, okay, cool. So my name is Hannah, and I live in rural Ohio, as you can kind of see behind me now that I'm outside. And I wrote a book called A Journey Through the Tarot. So I'm a tarot reader. I also do energy healing as well as I practice natal astrology. And I grew up actually in an evangelical church context, and actually similar to what was just shared, I felt like God was always way bigger than what I was experiencing within the church. And so I kind of branched out and was looking for some different ways to actually really experience God and understand the human experience. And I found the tarot and started to read the tarot for myself, as well as then for some other people. And I found that as I learned the tarot, it became very overwhelming because there are lots of books and lots of things.
What happened? We're back. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. So I found that there were a lot of resources about the tarot that were a little bit overwhelming, especially if you were just trying to learn or trying to even understand like what the tarot is and how it can actually help you understand the human experience. So I wrote A Journey Through the Tarot, which basically is more or less a storybook. So it's not like other books on the tarot. It doesn't tell you exactly what each card means. Rather, when you read it, it actually allows you to be able to place yourself within the story of the deck of 78 tarot cards.
Okay.
So it is great for someone who doesn't know anything about the tarot and is maybe even a tarot skeptic. But it's also great for someone who has been getting tarot readings for years and
Mhm.
wants to kind of dive a little bit deeper for themselves and understanding what this tool is and how they can utilize it and actually empower themselves to take their readings into their own hands. Um, as well as someone who even is a tarot reader. It's a great refresh and a great different perspective on this tool of the tarot and this ancient wisdom that this deck can give us, and this just really beautiful insight into the what the human experience is. You know, we're all having a human experience, and there are so many ancient wisdom tools that can give us insight into what that human experience means and how to really like place ourselves in that story and say, okay, this is where I am. And I can look forwards and backwards and see, you know, maybe where I've been or where I'm going. But really, like anchoring yourself in is something that I think this book is really great at because if you're, you know, say pulling a certain tarot card, you can look at what is right before or right after that card and you can kind of place yourself in that journey. And that is why I called the book A Journey Through the Tarot. So, like I said, it's great for any level of tarot reader or non-reader. It also would be great for a study or a group, you know, a group book club, as you can kind of just like go, you know, go page by page for each section on each card. So it'd be great for you know, getting a little bit deeper, getting to understand yourself and others a lot deeper as well. So thank you for allowing me to be here. I've really appreciated it, as well as I've appreciated everybody else who's shared tonight. So
Thank
thanks.
you, Hannah. Appreciate that. Mindy.
Yes. So the next person is a 19-year-old 19-year-old author. And I think that's fascinating. We're now going into our second part, which is our children and teen book authors. So over to you. Introduce yourself and tell us about this book. And he's going to do a book reading as well.
Hi, my name is Kale Sudhoff. This is my mom's computer, so that's her name down there. I couldn't really get that to change, but like I said, my name's Kale Sudhoff. I started writing when I was 15 years old. I'm now 19. I was born with a stutter, so that made everything to do with reading really hard for me growing up. I really didn't like books, and I tried my best to stay away from them because of this. So when the idea to first become an author originally came to me, um, I really doubted, and I just didn't really feel like that was something that I was meant to do. But I was just sitting there one night, just sort of alone with my thoughts, and a word came into my head, and that word was author. And I knew that I would never try to think of this word. I tried my best to avoid it the best I could. So I knew the word had to come from somewhere. And I was like, God, if this is you, you got the wrong guy for this, because that's just not me. And I just sort of put that thought away and went to bed that night, forgot all about it, and just let it go. And the next morning, I woke up and my grandma was there helping my mom sweep. And the first thing that she says when she sees me is, "You got to see this article about this children's book author that she found on Facebook." And bells sort of went off in my head when I heard that word author. It brought me back to the word from last night, and I was getting a little frightened, but I was just like, coincidence didn't happen. I just put it away. Later that day, I was sitting there washing dishes, and my sister was training to be a teacher at this time, and my mom was talking to her. She was like, "You know so much about kids. You should be a children's book author." I heard that word again. Uh, I was just getting a little bit more frightened at this point, but I was just like, coincidence didn't happen. And then later that night, I was sitting there drawing, and in the background, my family was watching this game show. And every time that a new person would come on, they'd say their name and what they did for a living. And as I'm sitting there drawing, I just get this feeling to look up. And as soon as I look up, there's this older woman like staring at me dead down in the barrel on the TV. And she says, "I am a children's book author." And I just sort of broke down at that point. And I got out my phone and I downloaded Google Docs. And I just started writing. And I was astonished at how easily and how naturally it came to me, almost like a whole piece of me had been there that whole time that I had just been avoiding for my whole life.
Hmm.
And yeah, that just sort of changed everything. It brought me down a very different path. And I didn't say this before, but I've been drawing for as long as I can remember. Those skills I've been developing for my whole life. It's something that I really love to do, but writing had never been something that I considered before.
Mhm.
What I love to write for, though, is for kids like me, kids with what we call exceptionalities in the teaching world, and that's kids who experience troubles doing things that some other kids might find extremely easy to do. So, for my instance, it was the stutter that I was eventually able to phase out of. But I love to have my characters in my books be overcomers. They overcome challenges, and I just I really seek to show the grit and the determination of those in the special needs community. Because I've had several instances where I've encountered these individuals, and they're so amazing. They're such amazing people. I'm astonished at their determination in life, and they love everyone. And yeah, I just really wanted to just bring attention to them, um, give them someone to look at and be able to see themselves in a book. And not just that, but to show kids who don't have disabilities from a young age that these are kids just like them. They're people too. And they don't need to be afraid when they encounter these things in real life. And I just really want to strive towards inclusion. A little bit about my books. My first book is titled Danny the Duck Heads South. It is about a duck named Danny who is really great at flying, but he ends up hitting a tree, unfortunately, and losing his ability to fly. And winter's still coming at this point. It's not going to wait on him. So he has to find a new way to fly south before winter comes. And at the end of this book, Danny actually finds a new way of flying south that gets him there faster than anybody else can get there. And I just really wanted to bring that point home that you don't have to do things exactly as everyone else does. You can find your own way, and you can be great at something in a way that nobody else can be. And in my second book, which I'm going to read a little excerpt from here in a minute. This is a mission book. It is for limb loss and limb difference to bring attention to these individuals and to just give them someone to see in a book and to know that they're represented. So it's called Danny and Kevin Conquer Camping. It is the sequel to Danny the Duck Heads South, and it is about Danny and his friend Kevin, who's a pig, and he unfortunately loses his leg in a farming accident, and that sends him into a deep depression. He just can't get over what he lost. And so I'll read my little excerpt from this now. At this point in the story, Danny has brought Kevin on a camping trip to try and cheer him up, and nothing's really seeming to work. And this is right after one of Danny's ideas yet again fails. So Danny points up to a small mountain with delight. Right. We should climb up there, Danny proposed, but Kevin immediately said no. Danny worried he might never get the old Kevin back. His sadness began to overflow. Kevin took in a deep breath. Since I got hurt, everything has changed, he said with no cheer. Danny smiled. Not everything, he spoke as Kevin looked confused. I'm still here. I know how you feel, Danny continued. After I hit a tree, I couldn't move on until I accepted that I couldn't change my fate. He pointed to the mountain. If you can do this, you can do anything great. You can't change what happened, but remember everything you still have and the friends that keep you strong. Kevin's frown turned to a smile, something Danny hadn't seen for so long. So Danny is just, Danny's the rock that Kevin has to hold on to. He's the best friend that Kevin could ever ask for. And Kevin just had to realize that although he lost something near and dear to him, he still had so much to live for and a best friend who is not going nowhere. And yeah, bad things happen in life, but it's how we respond to them that shows us who we truly are.
Okay. That was amazing. What's your first name again?
My first name's Kale Sudhoff.
Okay, I mean, you're an amazing fellow, and don't, your stutter is gone. So I want to encourage you to continue on your way, and we be in touch with us, and we'll continue to give you some encouragement through your transformations. Man, so continue on, and I guess we're out of time here.
We have one more, we have two more speakers.
Kevin, we'll give you just 2 minutes. I'm sorry, we're just running out of space.
And we have Stephanie too. Stephanie, are you still here? Okay, we'll bring Kevin on and then bring her. All right. So, but Kale, you're fantastic, and we'll bring you back to the book club. Okay.
Mhm.
I'm going to think
Thank
of
you so much for having me.
special to do with you. Okay. So
We also encourage you all to subscribe. We want you to become members so that we can develop a rousing and circular program profile so that you get the benefit long term of what we're able to offer and what we can prescribe to your book writing. Because I mean, you're also very developed, and many of you just need some character development skills, some language arts development, and just confidence. And we're here to help you with that. And so be encouraged. Be encouraged.
okay. Over to you, Kevin. We can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
I had myself on mute. Sorry. Kale, I loved your story. It was very inspirational, and it really made my day just to hear you speak about your life and the books you've written. So thank you for sharing that. My name is Kevin Baxter, and I'm a first-time author of a middle grade book for kids. It's called Kingdom in the Redwoods. It's a fantasy adventure story for kids. I'd say 9 to 13 is the age category that would enjoy this book. And tonight, what I wanted to do is maybe share about the three main characters in the story, just about kind of how the story starts off with them, kind of where their place is as they take on this adventure. There's a family of three kids. Aaron is 12. His little brother is Benji, who's 10, and Hannah is 8. And the story starts off with these three kids. They're living in a world that's lost its way. And they're liars and cheaters and just plain mean people who make life hard on these three kids. And each experiences it in their different way. And so what I want to do is just share a little bit about each person and how they respond to this world that they're living in. Aaron, who's 12, you'd call him a striver, a perfectionist. You know, he really wants to do everything right. He's got a real strong moral compass. But his issue is he doesn't trust others. And his experience with the world is that he's a star football player at his flag football team. And the player on the other team who's guarding him in the city championship game is cheating. He's pushing him. He's committing fouls that are clever that the refs don't see. And he throws dirt in his face so he can't catch the ball. And Aaron tries to solve this on his own instead of trusting his teammates. And ultimately it cost his team the game, the fact that he couldn't trust his teammates and he tried to solve this problem on his own. And so that's how Aaron enters the story. Benji enters the story. He's a little different. He's the middle child. And he's clever and he sees angles in life. And you'd say he's maybe a compromiser. And so he wants to be an artist and he loves drawing, not so much about studies and school. And so he doesn't want to study for a math test. Instead, he paints all night. He goes to school and he thinks he's going to take some time in the morning to study for this test. But it turns out that the teacher is offering chocolate for the students who can get a 95% in the test, but he hasn't studied. And so he decides that he's going to cheat. And he happens to be sitting right behind the smartest kid in the class. And he finds a clever way to cheat and he gets his chocolate bar. And then he's happy, but there's a guilt inside him of what he's done to the teacher, to his family, to himself, to the other students. And so that's how he enters the story. And then the youngest child is Hannah, who's 8. And she's a sweet girl. She's the best of the school at handball. She beats the boys, the girls, the teachers. She's fantastic, but she's very shy and she's hesitant and she's fearful. And there are bullies who ridicule her because she's good in handball and she beats them. And then also they ridicule her because she's polite and obedient to the teacher. And so they call her teacher's pet. And her issue is fear. She fears the bullies. She doesn't want to stand up for her beliefs and what she believes is the right thing to do. And so she tries to isolate and just avoid the difficulties of life. And so that's how these children enter the adventure. And they end up getting invited to their grandparents' ranch high up in the snow-covered mountains to spend the Christmas break. And they discover this world in the Redwoods. And this world is governed by this king who's benevolent, he's loving. And they learn through this adventure who the king is. And he's the source of everything that's good and beautiful and true. And through that, they learn that they're made in his image. And being made in his image gives them an identity and a purpose that helps them deal with kind of the limitations and the challenges that they've been having in confronting this world that's lost its way. And so it's a long story, long adventure that kind of takes them on a lot of twists and turns. But that's kind of the heart of the story is these three children and how they start the story and then how they grow and develop through understanding who the king is. And the book's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and kind of all the retailers. And thank you for having me on to share.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Oh, wow. What an amazing night tonight. We've had some really incredible stories, encouraging. I want to thank you all sincerely for participating. And please continue to do so. We're going to be an amazing circle of writers, storytellers. At the heart of any real book is a great story. It's a great story. And so I want to continue and we'll find the right artists, the right contributors that can help you give criticisms, understanding, listening, and a good ear. You know, and I want to share that with each of you. I want to thank you for being a good ear and being a part of our program tonight. And so we encourage you to, I've got some memory things I need to get in order. So let's talk, and we'll continue to encourage you and find ways that we can encourage each other.
And we want to thank you for joining our Brightside Book Club. I think I need to give each of you an applaud. And I don't know what happened to Stephanie, but we'll try to get her back in September. So you're watching Discover Brightside, where we discover new books, new authors, playwrights, filmmakers, and everyone that you'd like to meet. So thank you so much. And we hope to see you on September the 5th, our next book club, which will be sequel to with the McGee's. And we hope you buy the book before the next book club so that you have the book and you can follow along with them. Thank you for watching.
My applause is for the author in you,
Yeah.
for the author in you. So be encouraged. Be encouraged.